Sorry guys, the autism is leaking out. Give it a second, my tails need to take a little bit to set in. I need to let my pills set in my bed. EA Games. My last episode. I'm watching Let's Game It Out. I'm watching Demon Jeep tries to kill me on Tank Mechanic Simulator or whatever from Let's Game It Out. That the Jeep just starts flying around the damn map. Oopsie. Oh, alright. Yeah, we're almost done with this road. Like, I'm gonna end this road right over there. Right. Hello again. Yeah, hello, how's it going? Yeah, a little bit tall, though. It's a little bit tall. Good to see you. Yeah. This is the final stretches of Route 70 on my playthrough. If you don't know, last night we got every little bit of Route 70 from here to here done. A huge chunk of it was done. I'll be right back. I need to go get my computers. I need to get this done. Even if I get the road done physically to where it needs to go, I'm not done because I need to put signs and barriers on parts of this road. Ugh. Alright, without further ado, let's start this. Good thing is I have a couple wires from that crash site I picked. I found. We're gonna end the road on this little island right here. Okay, I gotta head to class. I'll see you. Have a nice one. Good luck at class. Hello, Mr. Summer Sloop. Yay! I have a couple Summer Sloops with me. Oh, it's got 7 on me! My depot. Hold on, give me a second. Is there another one? Is that just a glitch? Okay, let's actually get to work. Is it like early morning for you? No. I'm really pissed because I was supposed to wake up at 7, but my iPad, because I literally got a new one, it didn't set the alarm for me. So I'm probably not gonna play much Satisfactory today because I want to go to another city and go get coins. I haven't done a full run in a long time. Another thing I also need to do, but I might have to schedule it for tomorrow. I have a Fight for Life thing. I save a lot of money for Fight for Life, and it's finally here. Next week is Fight for Life, where I usually like to bring in thousands of dollars of coins to go through. You see, I've struck a deal. Fight for Life is a cancer charity where they have teachers, they set out buckets, and the goal is to win by donating the most coins. The teachers with the most coins get their class has what do you call it? Sorry, acid reflex. So a bunch of teachers have buckets, right? For their first hour. Then, students of the first hour donate coins. The teachers with the most amount of coins win prizes. And then the money goes to St. Jude charity for to help kids with cancer and shit. And I've struck a deal. Instead of them bringing the coins to the bank, they bring them to me, and I give them paper money, which they can use way easier. And actually, instead of them having to wait like about 10 or 15 minutes to have their bank go to the coins with the machine, I got it. Now you might be wondering, how the hell did I get away with it, huh? Well, I want to show you one of my most prized possessions. Yeah, we'll bring it on stream. We'll bring it on stream. Come show yourself, big boy. Oh man, I need to clean behind here. Give me a second. One thing I hated about when I was in America is the fact that the money is made out of legit paper so you can get soaked in. Really? What the hell? What do you mean? What's made out in Australia, huh? Introducing, again, one of my most prized possessions ever. This thing is 120 pounds. Wow, my space is so much cleaner with it actually being moved. The Cummins Allison Jet Sort 2000. This bastard's about 21 years old. It's old enough to legally drink. But make no mistake, this machine can process a staggering 40 coins per second. Pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, half dollars, and small dollar coins. Yes, it even takes half dollars. It's a big boy. It's able to count coins with a 99.995% accuracy rating, only missing 1 out of 20,000. A new machine like this costs about $6 grand, but I got this for about $600. I got it for a steal. I got it like only 10% of its MSRP. But even though it's 20 years old, it's it works really well. In fact, Cummins Allison is the last American-based coin machine manufacturer. So of all the companies that make machines like that, Cummins Allison is the only one that's in America. And that's an old one. They make ones that go a little bit faster, but I'm like, you know what, whatever. A decent machine like that usually runs you, like, if you have it used, it runs you over about $1,600. But I got it for like $1 grand cheaper. I had to drive like 5 or like 4 miles to go get it. I'm like, you know what? Nope. I'm getting this machine because I always see them for like $1,000, $1,500, even up to $2,000, and they rarely appear on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, nope, I'm getting it, and I did. Ironically, I went to go get it on 9/11, so yeah, 650. We talked the guy down from 500. And I don't say, and when I say price like that, I don't say it to brag. I say it to say, wow, that's a good deal. Pretty good deal I got on that machine. But if you buy one new, they are about $7,000. Hell, the guy even gave me some foreign. The guy I got it from. What does it do? It counts money. So you shove coins in the top, and then it runs them out the bottom. Which, by the way, is $6,000? I mean, it's literally like 6 laser scanners and a motor. And a little bit of some decent machine parts. Another cool thing, why does it last that long, right? It's because, you want to know how many moving parts it has? Now, a machine like that, you'd guess hundreds of moving parts. 1 part. It's a motor. And here's how it works. Here's the secret. So,
It takes coins and it has a rotary disc. It's a rubber disc on the bottom. It will then put them along a track. First is the dimes that are the smallest. Then it goes pennies, nickels, quarters, small dollar coins, and half dollars. The only error with this process is sometimes a penny can be sent into a nickel slot, or a dime into a so $600 to count coins. Yes. Oh no, that's by the way, that's considering if you get the lucky price off. These things are ridiculously expensive, and they can range anywhere between $7,000 to $15,000. It's ridiculous, considering how simple the machine is. It is super overpriced. Like, literally, banking machines are overpriced. You remember running, okay, how do you get yourself one? Well, you have to file a quote on it to get one. Like this, right? Like, that one was used, so I basically got... So why did you buy it? Because, if you don't know, I am a nutty numismatist. Like, I'm a coin collector. And, well, I actually have, like, 3 machines that count coins. And I used to have one. Well, I have one. It would jam. It could only count one type of coin for a second at a time. For example, if I had quarters, nickels, and dimes, first I have to count the quarters, and then I have to count the nickels, and then the pennies, and then finally the dimes. That, it just takes them all out. In fact, I did an experiment, and I did a batch of coins. My old machine, it took me 7 minutes to get through. When I ran it through my new machine, that one, it took it 40 seconds. Not even that. That's what I call efficiency. You see, so you will these whether yeah. That's autism for you. That is autism for you. Yeah. But honestly, it's so cool that I have one because I get the look of how it works. The thing's only 1 year older than me, essentially. And it works really good because it has one moving part. The less moving parts a machine has, the better. If you thought that was bad, I was about to get a machine that was like $3,000 to wrap coins, but I backed out on it because if I spent let's say I went through and I spent $3,000 to buy a coin wrapping machine, then here's the problem. I could afford it easily. Not because, oh, I make a lot of money, it's because it took me like 7 months to save up for that amount of money. But I didn't buy it because I'm smart, and I realized, hey, this thing is going to require a lot of maintenance. It would probably require hundreds of dollars of maintenance to have somebody like come out and fix it. So I'm like, you know what? No. So I actually took that money, and instead of spending like $3,000, I spent $1,100 to get another machine. Geocaching. Yeah, I think I might have heard that. Like, someone puts a box somewhere, and then they like leave it for a bunch of people like go find. Is that what it is? I've heard that. I've heard about that. That is so cool. I have a question. Do you like watch like people like High Risk Chris or like June 1st or Chris Henderson, like tornado documentaries? And then I have a question. If you do, have you ever heard of the Washington EF4 or the Roanoke F4? Now, because the interesting thing about the high-risk Chris, like the Washington EF4 and the Roanoke F4, is that those are the two closest severe tornadoes ever covered to me. In fact, the Roanoke F4 is one of my favorite tornadoes because, you wanna know why? Not only was it a powerful tornado, it killed nobody. There were no fatalities from the Roanoke Roanoke F4. The Washington F4 though, EF4, it killed 3 people and injured 125. But ready for this? Give me a second. Alright guys, I got a new iPad. Check this out. This is the Parsons plant after being hit by an EF4. Unique things. No kidding. But you know I know what's awesome about this damage? From the Roanoke F4? That plant's gone. It's back today, but it got deleted essentially. My favorite thing about that factory and that tornado damage, everybody survived. There were more, I think, like 120 some people in that factory. Nobody was killed at all. Why? Because that guy, you know how you hear about American, like, business leaders and they're complete, like, morally bankrupt? Well, I have to glaze here for a second. That's not Bob Parsons. He's amazing. During work at a factory in 1974, Bob Parsons witnessed a tornado almost destroy his factory that he worked at. So he decided that when he built Parsons 2 years later, he would install 3 tornado shelters. And after that, after he put those 3 tornado shelters in, and that plant was destroyed, when he rebuilt it, a tornado from the other day was so close to Chicago when it was near Pontiac, if it didn't turn. I don't know, the Kankakee tornado. But anyway, as I was saying, when he rebuilt the factory, it went from 3 tornado shelters to 8. So he added 5 more. He almost tripled the amount of tornado shelters in his new factory than the other ones. And then, unbelievably, that factory would get a close call from the Washington EF4. So the Washington EF4 almost destroyed the plant again. Not even 10 years later. I remember the Washington EF4. That was sad. Luckily, it only killed 3 people despite its strength. And I've actually been on the ground to Washington. It's very local to me. And, you can still see some places where it's just new because it was destroyed by the old EF4. Well, honestly, here's the thing. Can you imagine the amount of money it would... I mean... Like, no offense, but Oklahoma is somewhat... Like, I think it's like one of the... Like, the... It's like bottom 50 in states. I mean... People may not have enough money to even move out and go there. Like, can you imagine, like, right now, let's say I didn't want to live in my home because of a tornado. I have to get thousands of dollars and file shit tons of paperwork to move and get out of here. It's almost that it's... I'm not saying, like, as in, like, I'm not saying this sarcastically. It's almost as if I would spend more money to get out as... Like, honestly, when you really consider, right, I know, like, it's different from war, but, like, EF3s and above usually only have, like, a 3% chance of hitting, and that's if a tornado is going to hit your house. So, honestly, it just may not be economically viable to just move. I mean, Moore is a place that's existed for, what, more than 100 years? Can you imagine all that economic interest that people have accumulated just demolished? Well, there we go, chat. We did it. Can you believe it? You just witnessed me build the end.
Scenery. Also, no offense, but the politics there are oof. Like, no offense to Oklahoma, it's like bottom 50 in like education and shit.
It's okay. Scenery's great. Honestly, I mean, I'd live in like Texas or maybe even like Arizona if I had to live that close. But yeah. You wanna live. If you had to delete all costs and you had to delete all like, if you took costs out of the picture, it's Cali. I've been to Cali, and oh my gosh, like it's so beautiful. I went all the way. I went across the Golden Gate. I went all the way up, or almost all the way up 101, and it is like I have to be honest to any American that watches this stream. Before you die, you have to go there. Like if you're about to die, just drop everything. I mean, maybe not drop everything, but like just consider. You gotta at least go up 101 once. I've seen trees wider than my damn car. I've seen trees older than this, than the damn Constitution. Los Angeles is pretty good until you realize you have to pay like $30 a kilowatt hour of electricity. Man, the only thing about San Francisco, yeah, say goodbye to your fuel efficiency, bucko. Because you're going to be going up and down hills like crazy. Isn't this cool? This is Route 70, guys. Like, the main road is done. I just need to add signs to it, and it's done. By the way, essentially almost all this was built in one day. Like, all this part of road was built in one day. On my way, bitch. You know, who cares? Oh, why don't you just build trains? Here's the thing, it's nice to be able to, like, take a relaxing drive down my highway. Can you imagine that? Now I have essentially readily available access to this part of the world. This is the longest of any of my highway. I'm gonna smell smoke. Don't worry, it's not because my house is on fire. It's because we have a wood burner stove. It only takes about like $2 a day, or $1.50 to $2 a day to heat my house with wood pellets. Other than that, we have a geotherm. And what a geotherm does, yeah, autistic thing. A geotherm are like the main job people in your area. So, Illinois is kind of in this area with like lower Wisconsin, a bit of Ohio, and Michigan and like Indiana. We're kind of like an automotive state. Like for example, if you don't know what a company called Rivian, which I'm trying to apply for. Oh wait, here's my bridge. Rivian is the biggest factory, I'd say almost in central Illinois area. They make electrical vehicles, and they just came here like 5 years ago. It used to be Mitsubishi until they sold the factory to Rivian, and Rivian has a giant wind turbine. To GE 2.8127, which is ironic because that wind turbine model has really bad bearings. GE got sued over it. But farming, we have a lot of farming. Like literally, I'm not even kidding you. At least half the state is covered with soybeans and corn. A little bit of turbine technicians, although I wouldn't say that's a big appeal because, you know, you usually only get like a turbine technician per 10 turbines, so even a 100 wind turbine power plant is only usually employed like 10 people. Let's see. Well, Illinois does have the highest amount of nuclear power plants. We have like, what, 11 reactors spread across 6 power plants. In fact, fun fact, Illinois, we generate half of our power by nuclear. 58% to be exact. We have the highest amount of nuclear power of anywhere in the entire country. We also, I think, generate like what? Why would they do that in a tornado frequency area? Well, if you really think about it, a lot of these nuclear power plants were built in the 60s, and we really only started studying tornadoes in the 50s. Now I'm like, okay, well, that's a 10-year difference. Because tornadoes really stopped being taboo in my country not even in the 40s. Like, for example, in the 20s, it was illegal to even mention the word tornado. And I know, I hear that. Oh, wow, I look at my signs. Look, I even have, like, the route signs on my road. But, honestly, what is it? Honestly, yeah, nuclear power plants started way before, or almost either a little bit before, or at the exact time that tornadoes were starting to become studied. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of a guy named Tejutsu Fujita. A guy who's infamous with studying tornadoes so much, his nickname among his colleagues was Mr. Tornado. Can you imagine going to work and say, oh, here comes Mr. Tornado coming in for work? That's a badass name. Can't convince me otherwise. Near me? Really? Fusion. Australia is not known for nuclear plants, and so yeah, fission. Not only am I all those things you described, I'm actually slightly a nuclear enthusiast. So fission is the process in which atoms start to split apart. This split releases radioactivity, and this radioactivity generates decay heat. Fusion is quite different. The atoms fuse. For example, this is essentially why stars get bigger, because when a star has a lot of hydrogen, it fuses the atoms into helium, which expands the star out slowly, getting it bigger. Literally, fusion is essentially what goes on in the stars. But there's a problem. I've heard that we're really close to getting it, but we're just not there yet. In fact, fusion... Why do we want to go for fusion? Fusion is cleaner. In fact, I think the only nuclear waste that fusion creates is the reactor itself. There's essentially almost no nuclear waste. Or like almost no nuclear waste from fusion. I think. Of course, fusion is part of what we like to call thermal generators. Fun fact, we don't actually create energy, we just convert it. For example, in a fission reactor, we take radioactive material, then it generates radiation, that radiation generates heat, boils water, gets mechanical energy, we convert mechanical energy into electrical energy using a turbine generator system. And yeah, rest is history. That's a vastly oversimplified way of how a nuclear plant works. Wind turbines are not mechanical, or they're not thermal generators because they don't need heat. Not directly, at least. So now, to finish the road, it's now time to add the signs.
But yeah, that's pretty cool in my opinion that we're trying to go for fission, or no, fusion. Honestly, even as a wind turbine enthusiast, I'm rooting for fission or no fusion because anything that generates clean power is my deal. And it's not just because it's it's not because coal is like, oh my gosh, it's dirty. It's actually economically unfriendly and dangerous. In fact, black coal or brown coal, mining it and refining it, it kills 36 people per terawatt hour, I should say. 36 people per terawatt hour. For wind, it's 0.04. The safest fossil fuel industry is oil. If you rank like natural gas, oil, brown, and black coal, the safest is oil, and it kills like significantly a lot of people. Like for example, 18.6 people die per terawatt hour of oil. 0.04 people die per terawatt hour of wind, which means it takes 25 terawatt hours of wind to kill a single person. But with 1 terawatt hour of oil, it kills 16 to 18 people. So it's like how about, like, controversial opinion, what if we switch to an actual safer power source? Like, even if it wasn't viable, it's safer. And plus, like, for example, my cousin, he suffers asthma. And if you have asthma, coal is not helping. And then people will always point to, like, oh my gosh, they kill so many birds. Wind turbines are they're estimated that they kill about 1.2 to 4 million birds a year. It's a lot. That's a lot of birds. A lot if I don't compare it to any other source, because automobiles, they kill 600 million. Power lines, 300 million. And you want to hear the worst? And yeah, this is true. Cats. Feral cats, 2.4 billion. So I made a good point. If people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of wind turbines killing birds, I'm like, okay, stop driving a car, stop using electricity, and shoot every feral cat in the street. No, not going to do that. Why? Because it's incredibly stupid. But yeah. Now, I won't argue, if I think they look bad, because that's an opinion. Yeah. And it doesn't really influence if they're a good power source or not. But another thing is they're cheap. I mean, for coal, you're putting up like $3 per watt. For wind, it's about 1. And here's the thing, right? If a turbine fails, if it catches on fire, burns, it's gonna catch on fire and burn in the middle of a field. Boom, falls over, done. No one dies. Coal plants, when they fail, they got people in them. Now, for a majority of the time, there's nobody in a wind turbine. Die plant. Anyway. And I will address the biggest concern, or the biggest fair criticism with wind turbines. Oh, they take a lot of diesel to to build. And yes, that's true. Like, even though I'm a turbine enthusiast, I'm not gonna pretend like there's no issues with them. There are. The biggest issue with turbines is the blades. You can't recycle them. They need to be buried. Although, I will bring this fact into consideration. If you are concerned with wind turbine blades being buried, just know that I did calculations. We actually bury about 800,000, or up to 800,000 tons of wind turbine blades a year. But that sounds a lot when you don't compare the fact that we bury 2 billion tons of garbage every single year. And that garbage will decay and release methane, which is more potent than carbon dioxide. Now, I did a calculation. In 4 hours, we will bury more waste than we will produce. Like, in 4 hours.
we will bury more garbage, more municipal waste than wind turbine blades will in a year. So for every 4 hours that we exist, right now, today, so far, we have buried almost, like, right now, in America, it's almost noon. At Central Time. It's almost noon Central Time. So, from midnight, from where I live, we've almost buried 3 times the amount of waste, or 3 years equivalent of wind turbine blade waste, in municipal garbage. Let me get the fine measurement. So if we bury 800,000 tons every year, that means we for every hour we generate 91 tons. Every hour we generate 91 tons of wind turbine blade waste. Is that right? That's a lot. Now that sounds like a lot, but a blade of even like a small blade weighs like 12 tons. So for every hour, you can almost see like, I want to say anywhere between 4 to 10 blades are discarded every single year, or every hour, right? 91 tons of blade waste an hour. Ready for this? 2 billion divided by 365 divided by 24. For every the people that always complain about wind turbine blade waste. Now, I will say, the people that are concerned with blade waste they're correct, right? But the people that they make it where blade waste is like, oh, the ultimate, killer of wind turbines, like why they're not good. I'll explain this to you. Every single hour, we produce 91 tons of wind turbine blade waste. Now that's a lot, but that's because wind turbine blades are heavy. A single blade can weigh anywhere between roughly like 10 to 30 ton. Like for example, a GE 1.5 SLE blade, which is a pretty very common blade. It weighs about 12 tons. Now, for every hour of just garbage, like, food waste, everything you put in your garbage can, we generate 228.3 thousand tons. Doing that calculation, for every ton of wind turbine blade waste, we generate almost exactly 2,500 tons of municipal garbage. So I don't want to be a person, but if we're concerned about wind turbine blade waste, we need to be concerned with the fact that every single hour, actually, let's go further. Divide by 60, every single minute, every two minutes of throwing garbage away, or every 2 minutes, right? Roughly every 2.5 minutes, we will generate more, municipal garbage than wind turbine blade waste will generate in a single hour. We generate garbage at a rate of 2,500 times that of turbine blade waste. And again, that doesn't... Now they do need to figure that out. That is a huge issue. And I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Every power plant has waste. Turbines, blade waste. Coal, ash. Nuclear power plants, nuclear waste. Every single plant has waste, unfortunately. Or in fact, people are like, oh my god, I've always seen oh, they have so much maintenance required of them. Everything has maintenance. For example, take your house. Do not do anything to it. Do not fix it. Guess what? Your house is gonna start looking like shit in 10 years. Everything needs maintenance in this world. If it moves, if it literally exists and is made by man, it needs maintenance. Do you guys not know coal plants need maintenance? And it's not because they're like coal plants don't need maintenance because they're bad. I can't talk. Coal plants need maintenance because they're machines. They have machines. They have lights. They have turbines. They have pipes. They have control sensors. They have control rooms. They have computers. Everything. Wind turbines. They have pitch motors. They have yaw systems. They have, you know, TCUs, bearings. That's just part of the mechanical world. Everything that moves needs maintenance. I come from a father who spent literally 20 years doing maintenance. Maintenance essentially runs in my family's blood. Like I actually used to go into the headquarters of State Farm. I used to go into their basement. And if you do go in their basement, it is like an entire like complex. There's boiler rooms, there's a septic room, there is a boiler I think it's a boiler room. I meant to say cooler room. There's a lot that goes into making sure the headquarters of State Farm runs. And I've seen it for myself. They even have a giant generator that actually liquefied their garbage because they used to put it next to the gen. Hell, my dad even showed me this one time. He went into this one room with a bunch of garbage, and he had a bunch of these light bulbs in a tube with a barrel. And you see the light rod, it goes thunk, and it shreds it into pieces. And they send the glass to be recycled. That's really cool. Another thing is another big concern with turbines is the fact that they use diesel to build them. Here's the thing, honestly. Imagine a tech tree, right? Like at the bottom, we got our stones and sticks, and at the top we have everything to nuclear accelerators, right? Like we have to have sticks and stones to progress to like, bronze, to progress to iron, to progress to, steam. The steam age, and you know what I mean, right? Unfortunately, yes, we have to use fossil fuels to build turbines in the first place. But here's my defense. When we build a turbine, right? You spend that carbon, yes, but after you build that, the only carbon that gets put into that turbine after it's done is the lubrication, which is self-contained. It is a bit leaky. Like, for example, there are some models that are leaky, like the Vestas V82. They're leaky as hell, and I absolutely do not know why. But with a coal plant, you have to keep putting in more. And then the people always like criticize the concrete. Now, yes, I will admit the concrete is a decent point because concrete's very environmentally unfriendly to make. But concrete is the most common building material on the globe. Literally, if you look it up, the most common building material is concrete. I mean, it's literally required for essentially every foundation. Every house, every building needs concrete. And honestly, if people point to concrete for the reason why wind is bad, what about the amount of concrete that coal plants and nuclear plants, especially, because nuclear plants, they need to form 3-foot thick to put their nuclear reactors in. That's a big reason why nuclear plants are so expensive, is the amount of concrete that is required to actually build one is enormous. I mean, what? You want to just run a nuclear reactor in a tin shed? Just look up Chernobyl, and then you'll find out why we don't put reactors in tin sheds anymore. And people are always concerned about nuclear plants exploding. If nuclear plants exploded, like if Clinton exploded right now, which is my closest nuclear power plant, I wouldn't really be way too concerned. It's gonna be like Fukushima. Fukushima killed a lot less people. I think it killed most at like one person. And the radioactive contamination from Fukushima is minimal compared to Chernobyl because, unlike the Soviets, the Japanese actually put their damn reactors in a containment vessel, which vastly restricted the amount of waste. Now, the Soviets, they put their reactor in what is essentially a tin shed. No containment, bad fuel, untrained staff. And then that's not me hating on nuclear power. In fact, I actually vouch for nuclear power. I love it. It's amazing. It's got... And even though I'm a wind turbine enthusiast, in fact, wind is going to be my job, I actually vouch that there's a lot more things that make nuclear better than wind. Let's start off. The pros over nuclear over wind. First off, refueling. Yeah, the mild con is that nuclear needs to be refueled, but the pro about nuclear over wind, its capacity factor is 92%, where wind usually only teeters under about 50%. So wind usually sees full power 30 to 50% of the time, whereas nuclear plants see 92%. So wind, the capacity factor is about 30 to 50%, and coal is about 40 to 50%. In fact, coal plants are only at full power half the time. Second, nuclear power plants, they can produce a lot more energy than coal and wind. Nuclear power plants can go up to the gigawatt range. A very low output nuclear power plant. Give me a second. A very low output nuclear power plant will generate like 500 megawatts, which is still a lot of power, by the way. A wind plant, usually, like a wind farm, on the bad range, you're gonna see about 100 megawatts, but we are starting to see we're starting to see wind farms go above the 300 megawatt range. Which that's the bad thing about wind, is that the power rating is a lot lower compared to coal. And that's one thing I value as a guy who goes in the wind. I'm not gonna pretend like I am a little bit biased towards wind, but I'm actually able to admit the faults and issues. Like, for example, a single generator unit for coal generates like 500 megawatts, whereas wind generates an average of like 2. So you have to have a lot more wind turbines to equal one coal plant. So that's the issue. That's an issue. But the pro about wind is that it returns your investment faster, it is clean, and requires no fuel source. And another thing about wind, it ensures almost absolute energy security. So good that the military, ready for this? The military uses wind power to protect us from nukes. And before you say, oh my, what the hell, what do you mean protect us from nukes? Well, Pave Paws, located in Cape Cod, has a nuclear detection system. And it's powered by wind turbines. Or at least, mostly powered by wind turbines. Let's say if the enemy gets us and destroys our power grid, we still got that nuclear detector online because of wind alone. You can tariff and tax coal or oil. I mean, look at the Iranian war. We're seeing oil becoming interdicted. What is interdiction? Interdiction occurs when an enemy or an adversary blocks a fuel source. For example, right now, oil is being restricted through the Strait of Hormuz. You know what the Iranians can't restrict through the freaking Strait of Hormuz?
Wind.
You can't interdict wind. What are they gonna do? Build a giant wall to block America from getting wind? Good luck. And we have in America, we have the best manufacturing facilities for wind turbines. Vestas makes towers, although the company sold their tower facility, which is the biggest in the world, to a South Korean-based company. But what we do have is we have the generator factory. Vestas has a generator factory and a blade factory in Colorado. In fact, the Vestas units you see on my channel that I go over to in Panther Grove are made almost exclusively in Colorado. So from a tactical energy security standpoint, I remember my president was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna cancel a wind farm because, you know, national security." But bruh, you want national security? Go for wind. You can't. You cannot. Enemies cannot. I actually don't think so. But it's actually, let's intertwine two of my favorite things: tornadoes and wind power. In fact, wind turbines, they're somewhat resistant to tornadoes. A wind turbine can usually survive roughly an EF3. In fact, I've seen this one video where a turbine was hit by a tornado, and the blade went yoink. I gotta see that video again. About the Greensville tornado where it gets ripped down. Now that was an EF4. And not just an EF4, that tornado had some of the fastest wind speed on Earth. I did research. The units, I think, were Vestas V120s, which have a survival wind speed of roughly 50 meters a second. And I think that tornado produced winds of 100-ish meters a second plus. I love this video. Check this out, chat. So, a mild addressment. Just give me a second. Ready? Here comes the blade, and thunk. Now, a lot of, I will say, there's one thing that really got me off about the movie Twisters. By the way, I love that movie. There's one thing that they got wrong, is that the turbines just start spinning really fast, which is actually false. So if you actually don't know, wind turbines have a failsafe called a brake system. So the wind turbines, if the wind is so high, it will actually pitch themselves and turn off. And you might be wondering, okay, what if the power is cut? Well, actually, they have a failsafe. If you disconnect the power to a turbine, it will initiate its EPU, emergency power unit, in its hub. In the hub where the blades connect, there are either batteries or accumulators. And I can attest to this because I've literally seen them. I've crawled up into a Vestas V136 before, and I got to see the accumulators, which an accumulator is a hydraulic device. I'll explain what that is in a second. Now, a pitch unit is going to either be powered via hydraulics, which is when you use fluid to power your mechanics, or it's electric, which you use motors. So for older ones, they have batteries inside the hub, so when you disconnect the turbine from the grid, it will initiate a power down sequence to shut itself off. But if it's hydraulic, it uses accumulators, which have pressure buildup inside of them, and then that pressure is applied to the cylinders, and it turns them off. Now, when like for example, the wind field of a tornado is pretty big, and the turbine is going to detect that, and it's going to shut off. If it has a hydraulic system, which is the one I saw, it can turn off the turbine as fast as about a minute. Maybe 2 minutes if it's like an electrical drive or an older system. But you saw that turbine, it was turning fast, and here's why. It's most likely because the wind was at a wind... I can't talk. The wind was kind of blowing at the side. It blows from the side even if it's feathered. It can kind of tilt it, but after it gets hit, you can actually see that it just turns off and stops. And again, even if the tornado was able to cut its power, it would still use its backup accumulators or batteries to basically turn itself off. So, by the way, I'm going to tell you something, by the way. If you don't notice, you're probably going to be looking for this. If you see a turbine and the blades are thick, that means it's turning on or it's on. If it's thin like this, it's feathered, which means the blades turn to the side and it makes it where it doesn't turn. If you see it slowly turning, that means that there's not enough wind. But if you see it and it's off and it's not turning, and sometimes if it's in the where the blade is down, kind of like where that one is, that usually indicates that somebody is actually maintaining it. And if you want to confirm yourself, you can look at the bottom, and there's usually a truck. But yeah. But unfortunately, there is some rare occasions where an EF4 can hit a wind farm, like the one in Greensfield. And I saw somebody saying like, "Oh my God, green energy is a failure. Look at these turbines." Like, hey, jackass. I'm pretty sure if a coal plant or a nuclear plant or literally anything else got hit by an EF4 with what was probably the fastest wind speeds on our planet. How fast were those wind speeds? That's one thing I don't like about this new iPad. There's only one thing, is that the stand is kind of weird. How fast were those wind speeds? 309, 318. You're telling me, oh man, wind energy is a failure. Green energy is a failure because it got hit by a tornado. Dude, do you really think anything is going to survive 319 mile an hour winds? Buddy, your house will get wiped off the damn slab. A coal plant wouldn't be like wiped out, but it would definitely be signify extreme damage. And actually, no, because after the tornado goes to the wind farm, guess what? There's still turbines there. In fact, I don't want to say, I'm not saying this because I'm biased, I'm saying this because it's true. And matter of fact, I think that's why green energy is a success, because here's the thing. A coal plant is centered on a location, right? A tornado can hit that. Now, the pro is that, to hit one location is rare, but the con is if that one location's down, guess what? No power. But since wind turbines are spread over a wide area, it is almost virtually impossible for even the biggest tornado to destroy every single one of them. What do you call it? Even though the tornado went through that wind farm and destroyed a couple turbines, the plant was still operational. In fact, if I'm not wrong, when I saw the video, after the turbine passed, the wind turbines went into wind sense, and then when they detected that the wind speeds were adequate enough, they just re-engaged. Again, even the biggest tornado like El Reno, I don't even think it's possible for it to hit every single turbine in a modern farm. Like a small farm, maybe, but those small wind farms are starting to dry up and disappear for the favorable large wind farm. Let's see. Literally says, AI overview. High intensity ground level winds were among the strongest ever recorded on Earth. And let's see. This is actually good data. A dot bar on wheels recorded 263 to 271 miles an hour, 100 to 160 feet off the ground. Now, a wind turbine is usually about 300 foot tall. So let's say give or take, maybe about, wind speeds going about, I don't know, probably about like, let's say like 270, 290 mile an hour, right? That's kind of like 20 miles above the mile an hour above the, the minimum rating for that. Actually, give me a second. Z. Actually, never mind. Like, honestly, like, if I'm not wrong, the Greenfield, Iowa tornado, which I remember watching that live when I was in, a vacation. And by the way, I was at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, and I kept tracking that storm system all day, and I saw it producing the Greenfield tornado live. Well, guess what? It tracked all the way over to Wisconsin and tried to drop a tornado where I was taking a vacation. I kept telling my parents, like, hey, you better watch this because it's probably going to do something. They're like, okay, whatever. And then it actually almost did something at my hotel. I'm like, maybe you'll listen to me next time? I didn't think it'd survive that long. But if I'm not wrong, the Greenfield, Iowa tornado had some of the strongest wind speeds ever observed on our planet. Nothing could have survived 300 mile an hour winds. Nothing. Nothing above ground, that is. Retreat more. I don't want to be that person. I said some of the actual highest wind speeds on the planet. I said some of the highest wind speeds. Look, I don't want to be a dick here, but I honestly think that the Greenfield tornado is indicative of, at the very least, maybe a low-end EF5 rating. I mean, dude, 300 miles an hour? That's ridiculous, dude. Whew. Nice, talking up a storm. Well, guys, it's right here, silence. Okay, there's that chunk done. Now all I have to do is build the rails. Oh, frick.
I don't want to be I don't want to be that person, but I might go soon because I might want to see if I can eat my lunch early and then get off to go get my coins. Cause I have to go to work at like 5. It takes me about 4 hours round trip, and I have to get to work at 5 p.m. Let's see. I have a tactical decision. What if instead of I have to go home and I get my chicken and then go to my work, I then just bring the chicken, store it in their freezer, and then go straight to work afterwards. Whoops. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I could have ran this highway along like this cliff, but the reason I didn't is because I actually wanted to be on the ground, so if I want to spur off roads, I can do it. I like how smooth these rails look like. These rails look. Look, I excel in science, not English. My grandma's ass. Oof. Come on. There we go. I like to add these like little painted beams. By the way, these painted beams are the best, dude. You can make good art with this. Let's see, if I left by 1 o'clock, I could do a return, so I need to leave within an hour. You know what, Chad? I hate to say this, but I'm gonna leave now. Because here's the problem. Even though I can get out the door by an hour, I need to at least get done early. I heavily apologize. By the way, I apologize because I tried to get up early, and I tried to get an alarm set for like 7:15, and it woke me up at 7:45. Or I woke up at 7:45. My alarm did not work today. I will be back tonight, though. Probably about like about 9 o'clock. I will say 9 o'clock in the afternoon, I should say. Again, it's Friday, so tomorrow's Friday, so I might not be playing as much. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'll be back tonight. I'm sorry for the early shut off. I want to do my run before I have not enough time, whatever.